It's probably going to be kind of rambly here today because I'm going to be answering a question that I kind of have tried to avoid making a video on. But people keep asking me this question again and again, and it is in the news a lot lately. And that is the topic of transgender people in the military and whether I support it or not. Now, first off, I'll say I'm a big supporter of transgender people. Most people know that I am a big proponent of the transgendered people out there, usually at a rate of about $100 per half hour. But besides that, I'm no expert on transgender people. Beside that, I'm no expert on transgender people. Even with my psychology background, I still don't consider myself an expert on gender dysphoria because it is a very, I don't know, it's kind of an ethereal thing. It's kind of hard to really put your finger on. That's probably not what I should say when we're talking about people's genitalia. I probably shouldn't use that expression. But gender dysphoria can be either a thing in its own or it can be a symptom of other things. And that's just a reality. I got no problem with adult people deciding that they're transgender. Got no problem with it at all, as long as they address other issues that might be affecting their life also. And I believe a lot of transgender people are really being dealt a big disservice when their other issues aren't being dealt with before they go to extreme measures of actually physically altering their body. And that's an opinion shared by a lot of the scientific community, so I'm not alone in that. But like I said, big supporter of transgender people. The only time I really have a problem with transgender is when people start enforcing, or I should say imprinting, the information onto impressionable young children. Just because they display like non-gender stereotypical behavior at a young age, they start labeling them with this transgender thing and start educating them on this transgender thing as if it's something that it's fine, and I don't agree with that because young people are very impressionable, very easily imprinted upon. So you can end up with an adult who thinks, well, I guess I knew I was transgender my whole life simply because they were taught that when they were young. That was imprinted upon them. And what you end up with is, instead of just having a guy who's happy to be a man who also likes high heels and dresses or whatever, you end up with a guy that feels like, well, I guess I got to cut my penis off because that's what I am, and that can be avoided a lot of the time. But I'm not saying that that's every case, but it seems to be happening nowadays, and it's just kind of fucked up in my opinion. But as far as transgender people in the military, like I said, I'll say I'm no expert on transgender. I'm also no expert on the military. Even though I was in the military and I come from a military family, I'm no expert on it. So I have to defer to the experts when it comes to do transgender people affect the military. And the only thing we really need to look at is, do they affect readiness, deployability? Do they affect those things about the military? Because the military needs to be ready and easily deployed. And do transgender people stop that? And the overwhelming consensus from the experts, the Joint Chief of Staffs, etc., all the people that they hire to do studies says no, they don't. They don't affect it at all. This whole thing about, well, they cost so much because of the surgeries, that's garbage. Or there's so much downtime because of the surgeries, that's garbage. The average back surgery will keep people down just as long, etc. And the military spends 10 times more on Viagra than they do transgender surgery. So cost is not a factor, downtime's not a factor. So we have to just look at, are transgender people able to be military ready? And they definitely are from everything I've seen. Now, of course, some transgender people probably aren't deployable, probably do affect readiness, excuse me, but that's a case-by-case basis, and that should be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. There's a lot of regular everyday Joes out there that aren't deployable and do affect readiness, and we deal with them on a case-by-case basis. Now, a lot of people will say, well, it's not really the trannies themselves that are the problem, or the transsexuals or transgenders that are a problem. I get in trouble for saying tranny, even though I mean no offense by it, so shut up. But it's not the transsexual people that are the problem. It's the people that don't want to serve with them, the soldiers that don't want to serve with them, and that affects readiness. Well, to that, I say, well, then get rid of those fucking soldiers. Because everything I've seen says that they're a minority. They're a tiny minority. Most soldiers don't give a damn what's in someone else's pants. I spent a lot of time in the military. I didn't spend a lot of time dealing with what's in other soldiers' pants. not a whole lot of time, not nearly as much time as I would like to have probably, but didn't spend time doing that. And I don't think soldiers do that today either. And as far as living conditions, like living in barracks, etc., we have male barracks, we have female barracks, we have co-ed barracks. So just add another barracks, just add a who gives a shit barracks or gives a fuck barracks. You know, I'm probably going to want to stay in that barracks. You know, that barracks will be open to anyone. I'm going to stay there because they're probably going to have the best parties. So, you know, this whole notion that the military is just a straight man's game or, you know, whatever you want to call it game, that's garbage. I mean, anyone that ever looks at the Class A's for the Marines knows that that was not designed by a straight man. Let's just say that. So I think they have every right to be in the military. If anybody else has a problem with them being there, then get rid of those people. Because like I say, they're just a small minority. And that's the same argument that people used back when they were trying to desegregate the Army and bring in blacks, Hispanics, etc. in the Army. They're like, no, it'll destabilize the Army because the white guys don't want to serve with them. Well, back then we said, fuck the racists, and we got rid of that small minority of racists. So today I say, fuck the bigots. We'll get rid of that small minority of bigots because they have more of a negative effect on military and morale than the transgender people do. So as long as transgender people can serve and be ready, they should be allowed to serve. And if someone else can serve and be ready, they can serve. But if they somehow have a political belief or a moral belief that makes them unable to serve with other soldiers, that's their issue. And we deal with them one-on-one. They can either be educated or they can be discharged. One or the other, because they're the problem, not the transgender person, not the black person, not the Hispanic person. So we didn't give in to racism. Let's not give in to bigotry. Anyone in this country that is capable of serving and has the desire to serve should be allowed to serve. And if they become a problem, we deal with them as a person, just like we deal with the people that have a problem with them. So in my opinion, like I said, anyone should be allowed to serve that can serve, and it doesn't matter what's in your pants. You ain't even my real dad.